Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Terran Show. It has been about 2 weeks since I've dropped an episode, so thank you for joining today, guys. I took 2 weeks off. I kind of meant to and kind of didn't mean to. I recorded a bunch of episodes that I didn't like. And I'm also restructuring the podcast and what I'm going to do on the podcast. If you listen to one of the first episodes, I think the first few were just on Spotify. It's just me talking about my ideas, the things I like, my plans, my thoughts, and maybe some life advice. And recently I had a few guests on, 4 to be exact, that were all in different stages of their careers, and I thought they would have good career advice, and they did. But I don't want to focus primarily on career advice for my podcast. I want to use it as an outlet for ideas, a place where I can give advice to people maybe younger than me, or maybe not even younger than me, but people that are looking for advice and that I have advice to help them, that would help them, and just use it as a way to, be myself, say what I want to say, be who I want to be. And I think that's how I'll do it going forward. So I'll still have guests on from time to time. I look forward to having my friends on just for fun, interesting people. There's a lot of people I'd love to interview. I have a lot of people that I look up to, that I would love to have on a podcast and just have a conversation with. Off air is always fun, but I think on air, just to have that documentation and to just make it a little bit of a show would be fun, I think if I had a dream guest, there's a bunch, but Kevin Hart would be a huge one. If I could have Kevin Hart, I think he's a big inspiration, just based on hard work, character. I like Gary Vee. I like The Rock. I like David Goggins. That's a cool guy. If you guys don't know who David Goggins is, he wrote a book. He was a Navy SEAL. He runs ultra marathons. Very inspiring guy. He's very aggressive. He's like a hyper masculine, but in a good way. I like it. So, yeah, guys, I am happy to be back. Today, I just want to talk about a few ideas. Kick it old school. The first idea I'll talk about, we'll lay out 3 and just see where we end up. If it's too short, we'll go for more. But the first one I want to talk about is why you shouldn't strive to be an alpha male. The second we'll talk about is about insecurity and what insecurity is, and how to deal with insecurity. The third is faith as a skill, and we'll go from there. We'll see where we end up. But we're going to talk about alpha males, insecurity, and faith as a skill. So just to start things off, there's a lot of podcasts out there. A boy with a podcast is like a meme right now. So I'm kind of like a meme just by doing this. But there's a lot of podcasts by men out there, and I think women as well. Women have their own spin on it, or it's advice for women. And I think there's a good thing about that advice for men podcast. There's a good thing about men trying to support each other. There's a good thing. It's a good thing that masculinity is alive and a good thing. And I don't think masculinity is toxic at all. I think those traits that are toxic, that people usually associate with toxic masculinity, aren't toxic masculinity. A lot of those are just weakness. An abusive man. Abusive man obviously is not a good man. And those aren't good actions to take as a man. But I think an abusive man is usually viewed as a toxically masculine man, but I don't think an abusive man is masculine. I think that's very weak of him. And masculinity we should view as a culture and as a society as something that is good and something that would be contrary to an abusive man. Masculinity should be self-control, to not be abusive. It should be being able to handle your emotions. It should be strength, but not using it. And a lot of times the lines get blurred. You hear people listen, what am I talking about? You hear people like, I think there's a fear of strength, is how I'll put it, right? So there's like a fear of power. People don't like power. People don't like performance. And it just comes from our own insecurities, right? You know, weak people are scared of powerful people or strong people, because if I'm weak and you're strong, then you can kind of do what you want. Or if I'm dumb and you're smart, then I can't really, then you could be abusive to me. But we should view strong people and smart people as valuable people and, respect them and assume that they respect us. I think a lot of the problems is when you actually get someone who is not so smart and then you put them in a position where they should be a smart person, then they get power hungry and confused, because a smart person knows how to handle all that. The same thing with a strong person. Like, you get a strong man with integrity and you put him in a place where he needs to lead people. He's going to do a good job, I think. He's going to lead with integrity. But if you put a weak man that doesn't deserve it, and you put that weak man in that position, he's going to abuse the power because he doesn't know what to do with it. One, because he hasn't been in that position. Two, because he hasn't felt that power before, he's going to abuse it, and he's going to be more abusive. And I'm kind of going off on the power side of it, but my main piece of advice, I would say, or point that I'm trying to make, that as men, just in general, we should not be striving to be the alpha male. And I don't think if you're a young man listening to this, you should be striving to be an alpha male. You should be striving to be the best version of yourself, and you should be striving to be a man with good integrity and good character, and to be very caring to yourself and very caring to others. While I say that, the one thing these alpha male type guys get right is, as a man, you should be strong physically. You should be financially stable. You should make sure you're secure in yourself before you go chase a woman. And that could be hypocritical. I'm a young man myself, and I have a girlfriend, but my girlfriend holds it down. We've been through a lot together, and we support each other. One of the things I think those podcasts get wrong, which some of them get wrong, the ones that get it wrong say you should, as a man, all the kings had a bunch of girls and stuff, and what you should do as a man, if you're really that high value, is just be with a bunch of women and have a bunch of women. But you're missing out on something even better if you go that route, which is not, obviously there's pleasure there, but if you go that route as a man, you're going to be missing out on one of the most important things as a man, which is finding a partner. You will, and I'm not saying don't do it at all, do what you do, but finding a partner that really supports you, you're going to be a lot stronger. I think the most viewed toxically masculine man online right now is Andrew Tate. And I don't hate the guy. I don't agree with everything he says. But he actually made a good point, which I'm surprised he even said this. He said, he's funny, low-key. He does know how to joke. He said, "I'm the most successful man in history, in the entire world." And then said, "But I'm the most successful man ever, and I had all of these women." He said, "I wish I could go back in time in a time machine and stay with one woman and see where I'd be, because I imagine it'd be better than where I am right now." And I think that's a great point coming from someone who I don't think is that mature or that smart. I do think as a man, if you can find a partner to hold it down, especially early in life, you'll be a lot stronger. One, because then you don't have to worry about women. Because as a guy, it doesn't matter if you are a guy that's, say you're a virgin and you haven't interacted with a lot of women, or if you're a guy that's had a lot of women or has a lot of women, no matter what, you're constantly thinking about women. If you don't have any women, it kind of messes with your head. It'll attack your ego. That's just how men are. If you're attracted to women, right? But if you have no women, it'll hurt your ego. And you'll constantly be nervous around them, things like that. But men with a lot of women at their, that are around them, we'll just say that, they also are constantly thinking about women, because a lot of times those men have a big ego, and their ego comes from the women. So they constantly have to nurture that and make sure they have women. So the first thing I think that's good about having a partner and one woman is that you don't have to stress about women. Now you can focus on the other stuff, because every guy wants to just focus on their career. And if you have the self-control to not chase women and focus on your career and building yourself up to sustain a family someday without having a girlfriend, more power to you. But I do think a lot of us get distracted as young men. You've probably been distracted before. If you've had access, and if you haven't had access, it will also just mess with your head because you don't know how to talk to women. Like, not knowing how to talk to women as a young man and not knowing how to interact with women is something you need to learn. Like, that's a detriment to you. And it doesn't mean you need to go sleep with a lot of women. You don't need to be like the guy. Like, I really don't, believe that you should be chasing a lot of women, but you should know how to interact with them in a healthy way. And there's some men, I think, because just the times we're in, some men that don't know how to talk to women at all, even just in a friendly, like, conversational way. But yeah, back to the main point of not striving to be an alpha male. You want to be a good man, and you want to cultivate respect for yourself from other people, but most importantly from yourself. If you're worried about being the alpha male, you kind of damage your ability to be the main character in your story. Because to be the alpha male, especially if you're viewing it from like a evolutionary, like, biological sense, to be the alpha male, you have to be number one, and maybe you're not striving to be number one. Maybe you're just striving to be better. That's good. And it's not for you. But if you're trying to be the number one guy and you're like, I want everyone to respect me, you don't really get to just choose who you are based on the environment. You have to shape who you are based on every environment, because the thing about being a leader is you have to act accordingly to the people you're leading. So if you want to be an alpha male and want to be the most dominant personality, you're going to have to act that way, whatever way that is. You're going to have to do more things. You might have to demand more respect out of, like, other men, or challenge other men or something, or just do a lot of extra stuff. That's not very specific, but my point is that if you live with integrity, if you're feeling empty and you think that you're going to be filled by being an alpha male, I'll tell you you're wrong. I mean, you might progress yourself, especially because there are some good ideals behind this, like, alpha male idea, which are, being healthy, taking care of your body, being strong, taking care of your finances, being brave. Those are good things, but those are just good traits that a man has. You don't need to be the alpha male. You don't need to be the number one male in the world or the number one male in your friend group. And a lot of times, if you're trying to be that, you're probably not that already, because the number one person doesn't have to do that. They don't even have to try. That's just who they are. So don't try to fight to be that. Just try to be the best version of yourself. And I think that's just a lesson in general for everyone, but especially for young men, because there is a sort of, like, dominance thing that men try to do to each other. And I give my advice in a loving way to young men, not because I don't want you to be strong, right? I'm saying there's a lot of those things are important, but I don't want you to go down the path of thinking, I'm going to make everyone respect me. I'm going to get all these girls. I've been pushed around my whole life. Now I'm going to push people around. I don't want you to take that route, not because I don't want you to push me around, try me type shit. No, I'm just kidding. But that's a joke. I don't want no one to try me, but I don't want you to, I don't want you to push anyone around, But I don't want you to do that because I don't think you're going to find what you're looking for down that path. I think what you're looking for is self-respect, which is very important. And if you've been a young man, a teenager, a kid that's been pushed around and bullied a lot, you won't have self-respect. But you do not find self-respect in respect from others. It seems like it because you don't respect yourself and other people don't respect you. So you think in your head, oh, once I get these people to respect me, then I'll respect myself. That's not true. Because you can be a piece of shit person with a nice car, with a big house, with a lot of money that everyone kind of looks up to, because you're successful in monetary standards. But you can still lack respect for yourself. And the lack of respect for yourself comes from how you are acting, not how other people are treating you and how the world is treating you. You think that it's like, oh, it's because this person, it's not because someone bullied you. Maybe it's because you didn't stand up for yourself. It's not because people think that you're weak. Maybe it's because you think you're weak because you could go to the gym and be healthier and be stronger. It's not because other people don't look your way. It's because you're constantly looking at other people who aren't looking your way. And I don't mean that in a sense of like you're just pointing out people that don't respect you. It's a flaw in you because you are the type of person that just looks at all the people that aren't respecting you when you probably have a few friends, 1 or 2 friends or some family that cares about you, and you pay no attention to them. So the reason why you feel this lack of self-respect is not because all these people you think are cool over here aren't respecting you, is because you don't have any character. You don't have any integrity. You're not caring for the people that care about you. You're not respecting yourself. You're not putting yourself through hard things to be better. You're looking at other people and you're jealous of them, and then you think that your self-respect is going to be found when you start getting these people who you don't even like to respect you. It's silly. And I don't mean it silly in a demeaning way, or at least I try not to be, because I think as young men, one of the cool things about this like alpha male genre, and I'm doing air quotes by the way for everyone listening on audio, because honestly I didn't mention this is the first solo episode on YouTube with video. I recommend audio because it's easier, but I'm trying to make content and stuff, you feel me? What was I saying though? Basically your character makes who you are. The self-respect. I'm back. What I was saying, one of the cool things about the alpha male genre is the brotherlyhood support of men. I think that's important. And some people don't like that. They're like, men, they're silly. They're just silly. But I say that because when I give advice, I don't want it to seem like I'm judging you because you thought being an alpha male was going to fulfill you or something. Because, maybe you need to pursue that. Maybe that's what you need anyway. Maybe, I don't know. I do believe that you know best. I got some advice, but you got to find it out your own way. But I don't mean any of these things in a demeaning way. I just want to give my advice because as a young man, it's hard to figure out how to live life. It's hard to figure out how to be a good man, and then it's hard once you figure out what you need to do to actually do those things. And it's a constant battle, I think, you will have to go through just throughout your entire life. And it gets harder just from experience. I thought it was going to get easier. Not going to lie. I don't know why. I thought once I was done with high school, once I was done with college, I get a job, life's going to be easy. But no, now it's harder because I have to hold myself to a certain standard and no one else is holding me to it. Like no one's holding my hand anymore. And I had a lot of freedom as a kid too, where I just kind of did my own thing. But as a man, as a young man, once you're really on your own, you have to set expectations for yourself and you actually have to follow them. It takes so much more discipline. So I'm just saying I'm learning that for myself. I think throughout life, I will continue to learn. Ideally, you continue to learn. And my advice is not meant to demonize anyone specifically. It's just meant to encourage and also to inform, because I do think there are ways that might make you better in the short term. You trying to be a better version of yourself is always good, but if you're doing it to impress people you don't like, you're gonna get better in the short term, but at the end of the day, you're not gonna fulfill yourself where you want to be fulfilled, because it comes from a sense of emptiness, wanting to be like an alpha male, or even wanting to be better, and not in a bad way, but wanting to be better or wanting to feel full means there's an empty part of you, and we all have empty parts. We're all kind of half full, but yeah, don't strive to be an alpha male. Strive to be the best version of yourself. Everything else will work out. Just trust yourself. Don't trust me, but trust that if you do all the right things, it'll work out, because you don't want to compromise your integrity, and you don't want to do things that you wouldn't regularly do just because you think that's what an alpha would do. It's silly. And really, too, like, just to be frank, like, it's very beta of you to think about how to be an alpha. It's that, and it sounds demeaning, but like, you shouldn't be worried about that. Like, really, I don't think even the people that you looked up to that you think, sometimes I speak a little too fast. Just slow down, The people that you look up to, that you think are alphas, are not going around thinking, I need to be an alpha. How do I be the number one guy? They're thinking, how do I get this done, this specific goal? Or how do I get better at this? Or how do I, it's specific things. It's not something so broad as an alpha. So a lot of these alpha male type podcasts got that wrong. More power to them, though. They're on their own journey. I don't know what they need. I think they need to be the best versions of themselves. That's all I'll say. But I think they'll find it, hopefully. We'll see what happens. You feel me? But yeah, don't strive to be an alpha male. The next thing I wanted to talk about today is insecurity. And first, I just want to start off and let you guys know what I think insecurity is. I think insecurity is metaphorically, but kind of not at the same time. Insecurity is a demon that wants company. So, you know how when you're happy, you want to spend time with happy people. Sometimes you want to just be around other people who are happy, but sometimes you even just want to encourage other people. Like, you want to find people that aren't happy and you want to make them feel happy. Emotions, in a weird way, are shared like that. If you're having a really good time, it's just amplified by other people. If you're having a really good time by yourself, I think there's a limit to the good, enjoyment of life that you can feel by yourself. It's always amplified by other people. And, your memories will be a lot stronger if you have a good time with other people. And the same thing goes with sadness. Obviously, you don't want to be sad, but it's a lot easier to be sad with someone else. You guys have a bond over the moment. It's just easier to get through whatever you're getting through. A lot of emotions are like this for some reason. And not for some reason. I bet there's some biological aspects to it. I believe there's spiritual aspects to it. But insecurity is like that as well. And I think it's important to note that, because what people do when they're insecure, say I feel like I'm really ugly. If I feel like I'm really ugly, I'm constantly, no matter if in general people think I'm attractive or if people think I'm ugly, if I feel like I'm ugly, I'm constantly going to be rude, maybe not outwardly, but I'll have some type of negative feelings towards people I find attractive. Sometimes I might spread rumors about them. Imagine someone who is insecure in their looks and is constantly talking bad about other people because of their looks. And this isn't a shot on someone that's insecure in their looks. It's more of an observation of the actions that come past that, because I think it's the same thing for people that even don't have a lot of personality. You can say someone that's super attractive that doesn't have a lot of personality, when they see someone being goofy or they see someone being very extroverted, maybe they'll talk bad about them. Because what happens is it makes me feel even more insecure when I see you being what I'm insecure about. Because I'm scared that since you are extroverted and I'm super shy, that you're going to point out or shine a light on my shyness, that I'm going to be looking even worse. Or if I feel like I'm ugly and you're very attractive, I'm going to feel like I'm even uglier. So what insecurity does as an entity is it needs to project itself onto other people to survive. So that's why someone who is very insecure a lot of times will hate on other people with or without like the trait that they're insecure about, and they'll spread their insecurity. And that's kind of the voice that you get in your head that tells you that you're not good enough, that you are bad at this, or why would you even try this, you look dumb. That's that voice. People have shared their insecurities with you ever since you were a child. Children are born without insecurity, mainly because they don't. Well, one, because I think children are pure. I believe in pure souls, but I think also they just haven't experienced, like they haven't been given that insecurity yet. So as you get older, you just experience a lot of insecurity from other people that they got from other people. It's just kind of like a demon that feeds on consciousness. It's important to note that because once you notice it, you can see it in other people. And you can see it, I think, in an empathetic way, because when you look at someone that's insecure, you can look at them, talk poorly to you or about someone else and say, oh, this person just doesn't want to be alone in their insecurity. Again, it's hard to be alone while sad. And also they don't want anyone to shine a light on their insecurity. It's like insecurity is like a shameful little demon, dude, that needs to latch onto other people. But it's important to note that you also got all of your insecurities from other people, like projected onto you. The thing is, now that you have it, it's not their voice anymore, it's your voice. The same way I was talking about alpha males, like how men shouldn't go out and try to impress people they don't like. The same thing is with you, with your own insecurities. If it has become your internal voice, you don't need to go battle the people that projected the insecurity on you. You need to work on fixing that voice in your head, because it's not them anymore. Unless they're actively telling you, like out loud, if this person is texting you or calling you or something, or you hang out, in a more serious example, if you hang out with like a friend and they are constantly projecting their insecurities onto you and other people, then that's a different situation. But if you are detached from the people that projected their insecurities on you, and I think you likely are, because I think a lot of insecurities are shared when we are young, in elementary school, high school, college, because it's just, I don't know, I could go to, that's a whole nother conversation about like the social aspect and how, your social status is like your whole life and how you maneuver through the world in your early days, and the difference is like your performance a lot of times, or the amount of love you give to your family and friends, that specific group, and your coworkers is how it's changed later in life. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, like most insecurities are projected onto you when you're young, so those people aren't around you anymore. And I think it's important to know that, because now that you know this insecurity is, metaphorically an entity that latches onto you, you can recognize that it has latched onto you and it has become your internal voice, one of your voices. And what you need to do is expose the insecurity, because an insecurity is like the feeling of shame, and the feeling of shame, hopefully, well, not hopefully you felt it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we've all kind of felt ashamed of doing something, right? Like, you take a cookie out of the cookie jar and you're embarrassed. I think insecurity, and this is where I'm going to tread lightly, because I'm pretty concrete in my idea that insecurity is an entity that is shared between conscious individuals. It's kind of like it's like a virus. Not a virus. What are those things? It's like a worm that eats like a bird's brain or something. I don't know. So, okay, we're gonna go past this. We got that much time. But what I am concrete about is insecurity is a demon that wants company, and it's important to recognize that because you don't want to share that demon with anyone else. And I know it's annoying, right? You don't like seeing other people succeed in places where you're insecure, and sometimes it even hurts, right? If you're really shy and you're really like embarrassed of things, it hurts you to even watch someone else like go dance and have fun, because you're so like, I would never do that, because I could never do that, because I would look so stupid if I do that, and that's so dumb, and I'm so dumb if I do that, I could never do that. It's insecurity. It's insecure. You have to recognize that, and that, look, you got a little bit of insecurity in your mind, but that's fine. We all do. Like, there's not a person in the world that doesn't have some insecurities, but you're responsible for that insecurity now because it's yours. Even if other people gave it to you, you're the one listening to it. You're the one taking care of it. And it's your job to heal from that insecurity, whatever it may be. Some insecurities you might have to heal, I think, physically. Like, say you're insecure about the way you look and you're very unhealthy. Maybe you do need to go to the gym, and that's how you cure that insecurity. I think that's half of them. The other half, though, is there are insecurities that are not true. And there's insecurities that you don't need to change something about yourself besides your mindset, besides that voice. And you need to work on cultivating a voice to battle that insecurity. Either battle it, maybe accept it. This is where I'll draw the line of advice a little bit, because I don't want to give any bad advice here. This is kind of just my observations. When it comes to dealing with an insecurity, if it's a physical one, I just recommend like actually trying to be better in that area. The only one I can really like think of that's a simple example is like being unhealthy. You should work on that if you're very, very insecure about that. Also, there's like health reasons why you should work on that. I want you all to live like a very long life. But the insecurities that are just mental, that are just like, you're so dumb, you shouldn't do this, or like the insecurities that prevent you from doing things or making you feel bad about yourself in the ways that you shouldn't feel bad about yourself, especially like looks. Like, you should not feel like you're ugly. Like, if you're that ugly, this is a good thing about the internet. If you're that ugly that you should feel ugly, you could probably be like an influencer or something, because there's, it's just kind of niche. That's a joke, kind of, but my point is that so stupid. My point is that you have to work on that insecurity now that you have it. Someone shared it with you. It's your responsibility to not share it with anyone else. And it's hard, because it's harder to be insecure by yourself. It's like if you and all your boys get together and you see, the guy that made all the money, and you go, that guy probably has no, I don't know. He's probably a dick. That guy, look at that guy with the money. He's probably just a piece of shit, dude. That's why he has all that money. And he's probably like super egotistical. And if you say that by yourself in your room, like scrolling on Instagram, that sucks, because you're lying to yourself. Not that, he might not be a dick or anything, but the only reason you're saying that is probably because you're insecure that he has this and you don't, which you shouldn't be. Money will never bring you happiness. It'll solve a lot of problems, though. If you're broke, you should get more money, but don't think that money will get you happy. But if you're in your room scrolling on Instagram, hating on someone, saying, oh, this person looks like this, but they probably have this, that sucks. But if you're with your friends and you see someone that has more money than all of you guys, you can say, oh, he's so stupid, he didn't even have this. And your friend can go, yeah, I don't like him either. Now you guys feel a lot better, because that insecurity is being shared. That demon, that little low frequency entity, is existing in you, but it's also existing in all the people around you, which makes it a lot stronger. I do believe these things are entities, emotions, and insecurity, things like fear and anger, but also like happiness and joy. But that's a whole other conversation. Take these things as metaphors. Maybe we'll have that conversation one day if people are interested. But yeah, work on your insecurities. It's your duty to. And I'm not saying it because you have to. If you don't want to listen to me, don't do it. But I think it'll make you a lot happier in the long term, working on your insecurities. And even if you're insecure about something, if you're able to learn how to not project it onto others, you'll feel a lot better about yourself. You'll fill your cup a little bit from the inside. But yeah, last topic of the day, I wrote down, faith is a skill you have to build. This is something that means a lot to me personally because I grew up as an atheist and I thought everyone that believed in God was stupid and they were dumb and indoctrinated. I want to say, just straightforward, I do not believe that anymore. I actually believe in God. But I had no faith growing up. And I couldn't believe in a lot of things. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in religion. But I also didn't believe people got any better. I also didn't believe people had free will. I thought we were just advanced monkeys just going through the world. I also believed that well, I think I'll leave it there, but basically as a child I was not too happy because I did not have a lot of faith, and not just in God, because this isn't about preaching God. This is more about faith as a concept. I learned, and if you haven't learned this yet, you will one day, but I've learned that faith is something you build. I've heard Christians talk about it, and I bet Muslims and Jewish people find similar situations in their context, is they talk about it as building a relationship with God. The more you read scripture, the more you pray, the more you try to have a relationship with God, the more God will communicate with you and the more faith you will build. Hearing that from the outside coming in shocked me because I always thought that people that believed in God had something that I didn't. And I thought I couldn't believe in God. Not that I didn't want to. Part of me didn't want to. I think a lot of it was ego. But I think a part of me just believed I couldn't believe in God. I was like, it doesn't make any sense that God's real. I don't believe that anymore. And I think I stopped believing that when I realized that faith was a skill and that even the most devout of any religion has doubts in their faith. That's actually why they call it faith. Faith actually requires doubt, or else it would just be pure acceptance. You know, I don't have faith that I'm sitting in a chair right now. I'm just sitting in a chair. I know it. It's right here. And I think that's what makes God interesting. It's maybe like something that you've always known, but it's something that was very shocking to me, and something that I was very happy to learn, because I do think it gives more value to faith, because then if you believe in God, it's a choice that requires a little bit of doubt, which I think is very cool, because then you always have doubt and you always have a little bit of faith, because what that also says, if people that are super devout still have a tiny bit of doubt, it means that even people that have completely filled with doubt still have a tiny bit of faith in them and a tiny bit of hope. And I don't say that in the sense of I want people to believe in the same God I believe in. I truthfully, I do not care, because I think, my own philosophy about the world is that, my own spiritual philosophy is that we're all reflections of the same unity, just experiencing consciousness as different human entities. But at the end of the day, we all come from the exact same source. You call it the universe, you can call it God, you could call it unity, you could call it light, and we all return to that source, and it's a cyclical pattern that recycles the souls, and probably reincarnation, but I don't really know. But I also believe that Jesus knew that, but that's kind of blasphemy too. I'll be careful. But But I think it's important to know that if you don't know that, because if you've ever wanted to believe in God, but you felt like you can't because you don't have faith, that's not true. You just have to take a leap of faith. You just have to say it, even if you don't believe it at first. Your desire to believe in God is step one, because first you desire to believe in God, then you say that you believe in God, even if you don't necessarily believe it all the way, and then you start nurturing that relationship with God. And whatever religion you're in, you start doing things that build that relationship with God. I also think you should believe in God, not like my God, right? But I think that like a religious affiliation or a spiritual affiliation will give you a lot more peace, because I just think it's very cold to think that the universe doesn't care about you and that it's all random. Hey guys, quick pause. My girlfriend just came home. Shout out Rachel. But yeah, I was saying that faith is a skill you have to build. If you don't know what step to take, one, I do think believing in God is a good experience, even if you end up not believing in God again, just because it opens your mind up to another part of the world. And I believe in God. But I mean that, like, if you've never believed in God before in your entire life, like, at least for myself, you know, I grew up strictly atheist for 20 years. Like, there's some curiosity there, I think, in all humans, because the cool thing about faith in God and, you know, the requirement of having a little bit of doubt is that no human on the earth really knows why we're here and really knows where we came from. We have some close estimations, I think. I think people have very strong faith, and for good reasons. I don't think we know nothing, but at the end of the day, none of us know 100% fact why we're here and what our destiny is. And it just opens your mind up to a lot of things. You know, you discover a lot more about the world, about religions, and I do think there's a sort of like comfort in ignorance of imagining that everyone that believes in God is stupid. Like, that's silly. And imagining everyone that doesn't believe in God is stupid is silly too, you know. We're very complex individuals. But my piece of advice would be to, one, if you've never believed in God, to have a desire to, even if it's just out of curiosity. And if you already have the desire to believe in God, if it's of a certain religion, definitely put yourself in an environment where people will support you in your pursuit of faith. And if not, you know, just actively say those things. You know, I want to have a relationship with God. I want to experience God's love. I want to believe in God. You know, like all those things, you just saying them out loud, asking God for signs, I think is very valuable. But that's really all I had to say, I think, about faith. I think faith is super important, and I can do another topic on that. I'll even write that down, another faith topic. But that's what I had for you guys today. I appreciate you guys for listening. I know it's been a while. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday going forward. Promise. Pinky promise. If I don't, I'll cash up you $5. Hypothetically. If anyone listens to this, I'm serious though. If you listen to this episode all the way through, I will say I'll cash up you $5 if I don't post every Tuesday and Thursday, because I have a plan now. You know, I have like a content plan to, try to start my own business and all that. It's a secret, but not really. But thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. Always, you know, try to be the best version of yourself. Be patient with yourself. Treat yourself like a child. Expect a lot out of yourself. Make yourself work hard. But be patient and love yourself, man. It's a hard world in a good way, you know. It makes you really have to become a person. It makes you really have to be strong, because it's hard. But anyway, enough with all the sappy stuff. It's all love. New episode out this Thursday on Thanksgiving. Hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving, and see you next time.